Hey, how's going guys? You are well.
Today's video might be really special to you. Because in today's video I am going to show you top 5 high-end games that are playable on low-end PC. I have personally played all of the above 5 games on my old laptop with these specifications. This list includes games that are playable on lowest settings possible on a low-end PC. So before we get started, I want you to like this video, as it takes a lot of effort to make videos. And yeah, I know that I am not being consistent on YouTube nowadays, and views are a little bit down due to my inconsistency, because I am currently grinding CS, so it's totally okay. And I know that many of you want me to start live streaming on second channel, but due to this pandemic my PC build is delayed. So now let's get started after the intro.
Let's roll.
3, 2, 1.
On number 5 spot we have the Far Cry 4. Far Cry 4 is a first-person open-world action-based video game. This game does require a master system requirements, but however this game was pretty much playable at lowest settings on a PC with at least 4 GB of RAM, a dual-core processor and an LHD 4000 GPU, and the game was running at about 25 FPS, which is considered playable. And if you have a 1 GB of dedicated GPU, then you can easily get above 40 FPS on lowest settings. You can find the benchmark in description if you don't trust me. Yes, this game is playable on a low-end PC, but however you need to have all of the drivers up to date. Well, now let's talk about the game. Far Cry 4 is a first-person action-adventure game. Players assume control of Ejigale, a Kyrati American who is on a quest to spread his deceased mother's ashes in the fictional country of Kyrat. Ejay may utilize various short and long-range firearms, including pistols, revolvers, shotguns, assault rifles, submachine guns, bows, a flamethrower, rocket launchers, grenade launchers, and sniper rifles. More powerful versions of these weapons become available after considerable progression through the game. Throwable weapons include fragmentation grenades, Molotov cocktails, and throwing knives. The game allows players to take cover to avoid gunfights and to perform melee takedowns from above or up close. Unlike previous installments in the series, Far Cry 4 gives players the ability to kick objects and the ability to hide the corpses of enemies. The game features an open-world environment that is free for players to explore. It features several environments, including forests, rivers, and mountains, to allow players to travel between places faster. The game features various vehicles, including buggies, trucks, and water vehicles like speedboats. Players can drive and shoot at the same time, and can enable auto drive, in which the game's artificial intelligence takes over the role of controlling the vehicle and guides players to their objectives. Players can also hijack other vehicles while driving. The Buzzer, an aerial, gyrocopter-like vehicle, is introduced in the game, allowing players to gain a tactical advantage from the air. Parachutes, wingsuits, and grappling hooks are also featured in the game. These items help players swing across cliffs and quickly navigate the environment. So if you love first-person shooter games or open-world games, this is a combination of both, so definitely worth a try. On number 4 spot we have Overwatch, one of the best aim training games of all time. Overwatch is an online team-based game generally played as a first-person shooter. The game features several different game modes, principally designed around squad-based combat with 2 opposing teams of 6 players each. Players select one of over 2 dozen pre-made hero characters from one of 3 class types. Damage heroes that deal most of the damage to attack or defend control points. Tank heroes that can absorb a large amount of damage, and support heroes that provide healing or other buffs for their teammates. Each hero has a unique skill kit, defining their intrinsic attributes like health points and running speed, their primary attacks, several active and passive skills, and an ultimate ability that can only be used after it has been charged through dealing damage to enemies and healing allies. Players can change their hero during the course of a match, As a goal of Overwatch's design was to encourage dynamic team compositions that adapt to the situation, the game's genre has been described by some journalists as a hero shooter, due to its design around specific heroes and classes. The game features game modes for casual play, competitive ranked play, and for supporting sports competitions including Blizzard's Overwatch League. These modes generally are centered around sequentially securing control of points on the map, or escorting a payload between points on the map, with one team attacking while the other defends. Other modes set aside for casual matches include solo and team deathmatch, capture the flag, and unique modes run during various seasonal events. More recent updates have enabled users to craft their own game modes with a limited set of scripting tools. New characters and maps have also been added regularly to the game since launch, expanding the original hero roster from 21 to 32 by April 2020. Regardless of winning or losing a match, players gain experience towards a player level, and on gaining a new level, receive loot boxes that contain cosmetic items that they can use to customize the appearance of the hero characters but otherwise does not affect gameplay. Loot boxes can also be purchased through microtransactions. If you love arena-based shooter games, this game is for you, so definitely worth a try. On number 3 spot we have Grand Theft Auto 4 with Reality 2.0 mod. Reality 2.0 mod fixes color correction, adds ENB effect and fixes FPS drops. Grand Theft Auto 4 is an action-adventure game played from a third-person perspective. Players complete missions, linear scenarios with set objectives, to progress through the story. It is possible to have several active missions running at one time, as some missions require players to wait for further instructions or events. Outside of missions, players can freely roam the game's open world, and have the ability to complete optional side missions, composed of the fictional city of Liberty City. The world of Grand Theft Auto 4 is larger in area than most earlier entries in the series. At the beginning of the game, players can only explore the first island composed of dukes and broker, with all other items unlocking as the story progresses. Players use melee attacks, firearms and explosives to fight enemies, and may run, jump, swim or use vehicles to navigate the game's world. There is a first-person perspective option when using vehicles. In combat, auto-aim and a cover system can be used as assistance against enemies, should players take damage. Their health meter can be fully regenerated using multiple techniques, such as eating, using medical kits, or calling for paramedics. If players commit crimes while playing, the game's law enforcement agencies may respond as indicated by wanted meter and the head-up display HUD. On the meter, the displayed stars indicate the current wanted level. For example, at the maximum 6-star level, efforts by law enforcement to incapacitate players become very aggressive. Law enforcement officers will search for players who leave the wanted vicinity. The wanted meter enters a cool-down mode and eventually recedes when players are hidden from the officer's line of sight. The game's cover system allows players to move between cover, to fire blindly, aim freely, and target a specific enemy. Individual body parts can also be targeted. Melee attacks include additional moves, such as dodging, blocking, disarming an opponent and counterattacking. Body armor can be used to absorb gunshots and explosive damage, but is used up in the process. When health is entirely depleted, gameplay stops, and players respawn at the nearest hospital. The game's single-player mode lets players control an Eastern European war veteran, Nico Bellic, during the story. Nico meets various new characters, many of whom he befriends. These characters can then perform favors for Nico whenever he asks. For example, his cousin Roman, who owns a taxi service, can send one of his cabs to Nico and take him to any destination around the city. Cabs are always available during gameplay, allowing players to quickly travel to a destination. Throughout the course of the game, players are also faced with morality choices, which alter the storyline appropriately depending on the player's choice. While free roaming the game world, players may engage in context-specific activities such as bowling or darts. So you know what GTA is about, so definitely worth a try. On number 2 spot we have Watch Dogs. This game is perfectly optimized, That's why it can run even on PCs under its official minimum system requirements. This game might also be playable on 2 GB RAM if you have dedicated GPU or a good CPU or both. Now let's talk about the game. Watch Dogs is an action-adventure open-world video game. Played from a third-person view, the player controls hacker Aiden Pierce, who uses his smartphone to control trains and traffic lights, infiltrate security systems, jam cell phones, access pedestrians' private information, and empty their bank accounts. System hacking involves the solving of puzzles. The game is set in a fictionalized version of Chicago, an open-world environment which permits free roaming. It has a day-night cycle and dynamic weather system, which changes the behavior of non-player characters, NPCs. For melee combat, Pierce has an extensible truncheon. Other combat uses handguns, shotguns, sniper rifles, machine guns, and grenade launchers. Pierce can scale vertical surfaces, hack forklifts and aerial work platforms to reach places otherwise unreachable, and can crouch behind walls to hide from enemies. The player has an array of vehicles with which to navigate the setting, including motorcycles, muscle cars, off-road vehicles, SUVs, luxury vehicles, sports cars, and speedboats. The car radio is customizable, with about 50 songs. If the player steals a car, its driver can summon the police. If the player has a good reputation, the driver may acquiesce. A good reputation may be gained by detecting and stopping crimes, and a bad reputation results from committing crimes. The skill tree is upgraded with points earned from hacking, combat, driving, and crafted items. Money can be used to purchase guns, outfits, and vehicles. Toast towers unlock map icons and side missions. Multiplayer mode can host up to 7 other free-roaming players, with whom the player may complete hacking contracts and engage in races. The player can also be hacked by others, who will perceive the target as an NPC, leaving the target to find the perpetrator. In-game invasions can be disabled, but this will reset the multiplayer skill rank to 0. Free roaming with multiple players and decryption mode, where 2 teams of 4 are tasked with acquiring and holding data. So if you love games like GTA, this is worth a try. On number 1 spot we have the Battlefield 4. This is playable on 2 GB RAM if you have a good CPU. Battlefield 4 is a first-person shooter video game. Battlefield 4 was met with positive reception. It was praised for its multiplayer mode, gameplay and graphics, but was also criticized for its short and shallow single-player campaign mode, and for its numerous bugs and glitches in the multiplayer. It was a commercial success, selling over 7 million copies. The game's heads-up display, HUD, is composed of 2 compact rectangles. The lower left-hand corner features a mini-map and compass for navigation, and a simplified objective notice above it. The lower right includes a compact ammo counter and health meter. The top right displays kill notifications of all players in-game. On the Windows version of the game, the top left features a chat window when in multiplayer. The mini-map, as well as the main game screen, shows symbols denoting 3 kinds of entities: blue for allies, green for squad mates, and orange for enemies. This applies to all interactivity on the battlefield. Battlefield 4 options also allow colorblind players to change the on-screen color indicators to tritonomally, deuteronomally, and protonomally. The single-player campaign has several differences from the main multiplayer component. For the most part, the player must traverse mini sandbox-style levels, in some cases using vehicles, like tanks and boats, to traverse the environment. As the player character, Wrecker, the player can use 2 campaign-only functions: the Engage command and the Tactical Binocular. The Engage command directs Wrecker's squad mates, and occasionally other friendly units, to attack any hostiles in Wrecker's line of sight. The Tactical Binocular is similar to a laser designator, in the sense that it allows the player to identify friendly and enemy units, weapon stashes, explosives, and objectives in the field. By identifying enemies, the player can make them visible without using the visor, making them easier to mark for their teammates. At one point, Wrecker will briefly lose the tactical visor, forcing them to only use the Engage command to direct his squad mates on a limited number of enemies. So definitely worth a try. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Do not forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon. Help this video to reach the viewers by sharing this video, and I will see you the next time. Okay, with all due respect. Love your parents, respect your country, stay home and stay safe, and most importantly take care of yourselves. Bye.